Brews and Banter Podcast. Banter Podcast. Brews and Banter Podcast. What up, what up, what up? Welcome to Brews and Banter Podcast. I'm your host, Rob G. And with me, as always, is the Legendary Brew Crew. What up, fellas?
I got water, I got, juice or whatever. He's like, y'all need twin legs? Matter of fact, I do.
To everybody is,
Does Delaware have an actual culture?
this is the podcast that we talk about beer, but we also talk about a lot of things that's happening in the world, politics, movies, anything really that comes to our mind while we're here sampling these brews. Grab a drink and pull up a chair.
Coco fall like 1980s. Come lit, still I drop lazy. None of that maybe. Energy. Just vibe from my 45.
Energy. Energy.
The more I listen to, the more I like the album even more. The more and more.
That's still Beyonce, right?
Yeah, it's still Beyonce. What up, what up, what up? Welcome to Bruising Banter Podcast, where the topic is the rockin' and the brew. We're happy to fuel, and I'm your host, Rob G. And with me, as always, the Legendary Brew Crew. What's going on, fellas?
Hi.
What is going on, everyone? How y'all doing out there?
We is doing all right. Oh, you ain't talking to me, right? You talking to them?
I'm talking to everybody.
You can be talking to anyone.
All right, whoever is listening, I'm talking to y'all.
Gotcha.
So
This
finish.
is episode-
What was that song? What was that?
I know. I'm ready to start singing. Then he said, "Oh, you not talking to me."
I don't know. It wasn't any song, but I must say, since meet me at the crossroads so you won't be lonely. Meet me at the crossroads so you won't be lonely. That's a song that somebody asked me to sing, so I sung it this week.
Somebody asked you to sing. That is a fucking lie. I need to see this.
I will.
And whoever
I
did it,
did-
I'm
I
coming
did
for
see-
you.
I did see the question asked, and I did not respond. I just let that go by. But somebody did respond, so there
Somebody
you
did
go.
respond, so there you
Crossroads
go.
people.
If you want your song sung on the podcast, remember to hit me up, and I will sing it. I did a pretty good job. I don't know the whole words, so I wasn't gonna go that far.
Yo, and I
Man,
like it. I
get it.
like it's only like 10 seconds. You in and out.
Right? Yeah,
In and
exactly. In and out. In and out.
Everybody know exactly what he's singing.
Right. But this is episode 174 of Bruising Banter Podcast, and we do have a special guest with us this evening. We're gonna bring her on in this few seconds. If you don't know who it is, it's right there in the title. It does say FarmerJawn right there, but it is Christa Barfield, aka FarmerJawn, the founder and CEO of Viva Life Tea, FarmerJawn Agriculture, and I think it's like FarmerJawn Greenery. But we'll ask her all these
Whole lot
things
of-
when she
Yeah, she
all
got
these things when she get in. So without further ado, I want to bring Chris to the podcast.
Welcome.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Thank
I
you
thought
for
that-
having me.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
being
for
here.
coming.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
We're always
She got the good lighting. Look at her lighting.
I know,
The
man.
trick is to be in a window.
there you go.
I thought it had something to do with like the farmer. You know how you need sunshine, the farm.
Oh,
you got the
man.
light.
No,
Yes,
I thought
ma'am.
it
it
was
is
like
where I am. It's 6 p.m. So the sun is starting to descend.
yeah, it's the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I got you.
Mhm.
It's time for the farmer to go in for the day, right? Is that
I looked at the I looked at the clock. Was like, is it 6 p.m.? Oh yeah, it is. We on the same.
It
booth.
is. No, yeah, you gotta be in these. This is the dog days of summer, so you gotta be out the field by noon if you don't want to be burnt and
Yeah,
dehydrated.
because it's hot.
Oh, that's
true. Yeah, that makes
that's
sense.
information. That makes sense. That's information I did not know though.
But what
Yes.
are they planning anything at this time? Well, I guess before we
Yeah,
get
it's time for fall.
before we get into
Definitely.
all,
I mean, you gotta eat all year, so now's the time to plant for fall.
that is
Oh.
true.
Sure.
Before we get into all that, we always like to know what people are drinking on. So, what are we drinking today? And we always start with a guest. So, are you drinking something today, Krista?
I am.
All right.
You want to know what it is?
Yes. H2O.
So the correction, you said Viva Life Tea. It is Viva Leaf Tea.
Viva
Oh.
Leaf.
And
Oh,
yeah.
you know, this website, this article I had pulled up said life. That's why.
Oh, did it? Well, please let me know so I can get a correction.
Will do. It's on PA Eats.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna let them know. Yeah, but Viva Leaf Tea Company is I have a bunch of different blends that I have created from herbs that we grow at the farm, and this happens to be basically a white tea base. So something super light, something to wind down. It has lavender, chamomile, and sage in it.
Okay, so she's drinking a nice tea.
She gonna fall asleep.
I was about to say you gonna be knocked out.
Listen, I've been up since 5.
Oh man,
She gonna be like, yeah, y'all, because you know this one take.
it's the lavender, guys. It's the lavender.
Right. That is definitely night.
Right.
But it does sound delicious. And that
Yeah,
you
it does.
take like, I'm just curious. Do you take it like plain, no sugar, no, or do you have sugar in it, or you drink it straight?
Plain. Yeah,
Oh.
mine's just plain. I do have honeys. I have a lavender infused honey as well, but I don't happen to have it in this mix.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the lavender
But I
infused
actually-
honey in the actual tea leaves, or is it just?
Is there honey in the tea leaves?
Yeah, like in the blend.
In the tea blend or in the honey infusion?
I don't know.
What were you saying?
Okay.
Were you asking what a tea already sweetened? Was that what you were asking, Lou?
I think so. Yes. Yeah.
Is the tea sweetened?
Is
or
the tea
unsweetened?
already sweetened with the infused honey?
No. So there are two different products. There is a tea
Gotcha.
that has lavender, chamomile, and sage in it, and then there's a line of honeys that I do that are infused with herbs. So I have a lavender infused honey that I usually pair with those when I'm selling it to patrons. However, I don't consume a bunch of honey. So I actually like my tea as is. I like the earthiness of it.
Gotcha.
Straight no chaser.
Yeah.
All right.
Shit, I don't know.
He's like, I'm not even going to try to correct it. I'm
Nah.
just gonna let it die right there.
Got it,
Die
right.
on the vine.
Oh, shoot. That's
All right,
funny.
yo, what you drinking on?
I got something from Smoketown Beer Station out of New Brunswick. Where are they from? Somewhere in Maryland.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Brunswick. I was right.
Brunswick.
Maryland. This is called Potomac IPA. I'm not real like heavy on the IPA, but this is actually pretty good. But this is 7.4, and this is what it look like in the glass. I got it in my Black is Beautiful glass because every time I touch it, it just makes me feel happy. But yeah, this is a good IPA. I mean, it's nothing really super special about it, but it's nice and cold and refreshing.
There you go.
Yeah. But I would pass me another one of these though.
All right.
How come I didn't get that? I didn't get that fanciness of what I'm confused.
Because
What's-
we don't.
what's happening
Nope,
here?
nope.
I'm sorry, because you guys say the magic word. You guys say the magic phrase. Just pass me another, like you would drink your tea again.
All right, I'll wait. I'm gonna save it for later. Just don't miss it when I say it. Don't miss it.
She said, "Wait a minute, what's going on here?"
Where are these horns coming from?
All right, Lou, what you drinking on?
Oh man, this is the third installment of the War series from Miss Pillion River Brewing Company.
Boy, you still at war with these people?
Man, listen, and this is only week 3. They got like 9 of them, but I'm done after this one. I'm not gonna go 4 or 5, 6 weeks in a row. I'm gonna do something new next week.
All right.
But this is like I said, this is War Llama. That's what the can looks like. It's we did what we do: War Possum, War Raccoon. There's like a lot of different animals that don't normally be in war, but they put them in war. But this is another flavored electrolyte infused beer. It's at 5% ABV. It's in a pint can, as y'all can see. It says War Llama is green, tart, and refreshing. Yeah, it's green. It's as green as my shirt.
Wow.
Yeah. The
Is that safe?
What do you mean when you say safe? Because it's
I
beer.
need to know what's in it. Like I'm very curious as to what the ingredients
She's
are.
like, "Is there yellow 5 in
It's not
there?"
straight leaf.
Yeah.
In
Is
2022,
it
doesn't
not
matter.
straight leaf?
No, I don't think it has any of them natural things that you're mentioning.
Yeah, because the only thing that should make it that color is chlorophyll, which is the inside of a plant.
A plant, yeah, no, I don't think it has any plant matter in here.
I mean, of course it does. That's what beer is.
Yeah,
That's true.
You know, see, Christa,
Yo, she set you up, Lou. Oh,
look, Christa, it's gonna be a long interview process for me.
You're not
I've been
we're
struggling.
gonna have a one-on-one instruction lesson
I'll be fine
about
with that.
honey.
Yes, I'll be fine with all that. I have so many questions. So yes. Yeah, I would not even mind that.
right. Me either. I wouldn't.
Right, like don't make it one-on-one, make it one-on-two.
The other thing everybody catch on to in terms of electrolytes. Now, my wife's War Llama is my wife's favorite, but people do say when they hear electrolytes and beer, they be like, like that. What is that?
Yeah, I don't.
It's like no.
I mean, I know I've heard of electrolytes, but only in like Gatorade and Powerade.
Yeah,
which has food coloring in it as well. So I don't think we should be drinking that either.
Yeah, but the year of the monkeypox, I don't even know if it matters. I mean, it's just whatever. Whatever gets you through. If that War Llama gets you through.
No judgment.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna pass me another. I like these sours, man. This has been a good little thing. I think I will bring the War series back in a little bit, but yeah. I'm done for now. Okay. So, but cheers to Miss Pillion and John from the wine place.
Okay, John from the wine place. What's going on, Deb?
What's up, family? What's going on, y'all?
I
was working off a wrong link, yo. Like last week, I'm like, yeah, like I put it in, my email joint. I clicked and I said, ended an hour and 56 minutes ago. Wait a minute, but I'm here now.
All right, so what you drinking on?
Oh, it's my turn. Awesome. I'm drinking on some of Lawson's Finest Liquids, Sip of Sunshine, IPA, John. Yeah, I feel like lately, like when I've been drinking, I've been venturing out away from one of my favorite styles, which is IPA. So today I was like, you know what? I need to bring it back. Exactly. So
ain't it like IPA week or something?
It was IPA day. What, last Monday?
Oh, IPA day.
Well, last like Thursday, I think.
Thursday? Oh, okay, midweek. Yeah. So
last week.
It was. So this comes out of Stratford, Connecticut. I'm looking for the ABV on this joint. Oh, there it is. It's coming in at 8%. See that joint right there? Ooh. Pour is pretty golden. I would say this is a traditional IPA. It doesn't flavor wise, it gives me everything from the floral to a little bit of citrus. So if I had to guess, there probably is some aromas of some fruit and everything in here. So I'm gonna say a pass me another because it's absolutely my favorite.
You said it's your favorite? Like your favorite
style of beer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, style of beer.
Yo, are you holding one of our glasses? Are you drinking out of one of our glasses and it's not turned towards the camera? Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're doing the visual aids. I'll make sure I do that. Go ahead, take a screenshot. Take a screenshot right now. I want to see that in the reel. I want to see that in the reel later.
I just wanted to make sure that it was her glass.
All right.
Yes, indeed.
Raji.
Yes, sir.
What are you drinking on this week, sir?
I'm actually drinking on from Cape May, in cahoots with the qualified captain. It's called the Boat Ramp Champ. It is a Hell's Lager.
Did you say cahoots or does it say cahoots?
It says in cahoots. It says it on the can. You can't see it. In cahoots with the Boat Ramp, the qualified captain, which I guess is like a boat brand or like a shipping clothing brand or something like that, or a boating.
A boating brand.
Shit, I don't know. I ain't in it. Obviously, you could tell me I'm not in that water life. whatever they call it.
It could be a boating brand. Yeah,
but this is 5.5% ABV. Like I said, Cape May out of Cape May, New Jersey. It's a nice and light style. Obviously, Hell's lagers are pretty light. German style.
What kind of lager is it?
Hell's, Helles.
Oh.
It's a nice German style, nice and light, malt forward, delicious. It's on your. I guess if it tastes like beer, type beer, because it is a lager, so it is delicious. But I enjoy these nice, fresh, refreshing, crisp beers after drinking IPAs and sours and stuff. This is a nice thing to get your balance back.
Mhm.
Right.
So that's why I rock with it. So I'm gonna pass me another.
I just want to quickly interject and just say what my favorite beers are.
Okay.
I want to interject.
Because I am a beer drinker.
Okay.
I'm actually not at my own home,
Okay.
but I don't have access to the things I normally would have access to in this moment.
Okay.
But the beers that I drink, at least style of beer for sure, is going to be saisons and farmhouse ales.
Okay.
Are my tops. So similar to sours. So I can get down with a sour too because they're brewed very similarly. So yeah, that's all I'll say about that.
Okay.
Nice.
We'll ask more about that now that you brought it up.
Okay.
But without further ado, we want to once again welcome you to the podcast. Here's another round of applause.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you, Lester.
And now the floor is yours to tell us who Christa Barfield is, how you got into agriculture,
AKA FarmerJawn.
how did you get into farming, urban horticultural?
You said it right.
We will work on words.
A little tongue twister, huh?
Horticulture. Horticulture, but
You should have just gave her the floor.
in my head I was thinking horticulturalist, but then I was saying horticulture, so that's what was on me. Never mind.
All that.
All of it.
I was thinking a lot in my head while also talking.
Yeah,
that's why.
Sound like you was still about a halter top.
Halter top. That's what I heard. Helter skelter.
Anyway,
You see,
Christa,
don't give us any room for error because we will light each other's ass up. Light each other's ass up.
You know what?
All right, let's Christa, don't fumble because we might.
Chris already got me.
No,
She
I'm
can
gonna be
fumble
the
all
one
she
to
want.
keep y'all straight. I'm
All right.
She keeping us on her toes already.
Yeah, that's why I ain't said shit. I'm just sitting back. She about to get me today.
Oh, she gonna get you. Don't worry. Say
So,
You can tell in her voice. You don't even have to know what's at the end of FarmerJawn. Well, you don't even have to know John Ming, but you can tell in her voice where she's from.
right.
Okay.
oh, you can.
Oh,
You can
absolutely.
hear where I'm from. Most people can't. Most people think I'm from the South because my family is from the South and they can pick it up in my speech.
I hear Philly all day long.
Oh yeah, that's a Philly.
I hear
Oh,
Philly
yeah.
all day long.
Yeah, FarmerJawn.
Well, we we socialize. We in Philly a lot. We got friends, family, and stuff from there. So
Right.
it's in there. You ain't never gonna get rid of it.
Christa Barfield is a Philadelphia native. From uptown, I'm born and raised in Germantown. I still live in Germantown.
Word.
And life has been all full of and invested in healthcare and science and welfare of people. And after a while of doing that, working under some of the best positions in the game, in the world, literally, I got burnt out. You know, and I decided to resign from that career in the way that I was doing it, you know, in healthcare, traditional healthcare. And I took a trip to Martinique, which is a French colony in the Caribbean. And I saw Black people farming when I went. And that was by accident. Like for me, I would say it wasn't an accident, but I didn't do it on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to Martinique, I had a bounty of beautiful experiences, and it just so happened that my Airbnb host was a Black farmer. And yeah, so I took that trip by myself to Martinique. It was my first time out of the country, and this is in January 2018. And so I'm gonna paint the picture for y'all. On January 2nd of 2018, I walk into work energized, ready for a new year. I'm managing a team of 8 people. I have 23 doctors. I'm working in a practice that has 23 physicians. I'm working for one of the busiest practices of the larger practice. My practice is in Center City. I have my own parking spot downtown.
Okay.
That's doing it.
That's
So
it
you
right
know
there.
I made it, right?
Yeah.
All right.
That was the indicator for me.
Mhm.
And honestly, that was also the highlight of that job, because I worked so hard for them. January 2nd, I remember walking into work and I read an email from my boss around 7:30, and I was resigning by about 8:15.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yikes.
Your blood was
So
boiling.
yeah, but I didn't go into work like that. So you can just imagine the context of the email. And I just was ready. I was like, this is no longer serving you. So you gotta go. And I have responsibilities, as most adults do, right? So I happened to just resign, and I was like, I'm about to be an Uber driver until I figure out my next steps. Because this is not it.
Quick pivot.
Gig life me now. So and that's what I did. I think the biggest tragedy for me was that giving up that parking spot, but I was gaining so much. I was gaining so much more. Parking in Center City is not fun at all.
Nope, it ain't.
Not at all.
That was a win. That was definitely a win. Like, you thought for them 45 minutes about that because of that parking spot, you probably would have gave it up 25 minutes if it wasn't for that parking spot.
It's crazy because after I resigned, I remember my boss replying to me telling me that because I'm in management, I have to give them 3 weeks. And I'm thinking to myself, have to?
Right. Let me look over my paperwork. Let me look over this contract.
I'm like, where is it?
Right.
So, I did. January is also my birth month. So how it ended up happening was January 2nd, I quit my job. January 3rd, I booked a trip to Martinique. January 19th, I turned 30. And then January 22nd, I was on a plane to Martinique. So literally, I actually gave them 1 day shy of the full 21 days. And I was on a plane that 21st day to Martinique by myself, first time out of the country, living very selfishly, unapologetically, and just like walking into what my destiny would become, unbeknownst to me.
Nice. That's awesome. Actually, that's like I said. I think I said earlier, it's serendipitous in terms of how the universe conspired to get you into farming. I must have missed what that email said, because that must have been.
She didn't say.
Oh, okay.
She didn't say.
Everyone always asks me.
Right. That's like out of a movie or out of like a story, or like what do you call the movie? Jerry Maguire. Like when Tom Cruise went in like that particular day on the sales floor and was like, "Fuck this shit! Like exactly. I gotta go, and who's coming with me?" type of thing.
Yeah, it must have
trauma.
It must have been definitely an email that said, "You know what? I'm gonna reclaim my time."
And that's a fact. Trauma is the reason why I don't remember. I actually have this. I would say a mixture of it's a gift and a curse. Typically, traumatic experiences, I lose all the details of. Like it's sparse for me. I don't hold on to all the things. So, even in my personal life, like I can have an argument with somebody and then it'd be like a week later, and I'd be like, damn, I don't even remember exactly what happened. and so therefore I find peace a lot faster than most people will. And so that's pretty much what it was. I just know that I resigned, and then I was like, hey, now I'm on a plane. And I remember like training my replacement. I remember like telling my staff what the decision I had made. And I remember walking into work with white jeans on the day before my last day of work, because I did not give a fuck. I had white jeans on, yellow boots. I just remember what I had on. Yellow's my favorite color, and yellow boots are now like my signature FarmerJawn. And I didn't even know. That's why I mentioned that because
What year was this?
2018.
Okay. You
Yeah.
you really
And
made the song "You Don't Break My Soul" a hit before 2022.
Release your job.
I actually have
Release your job.
That's fine. So,
Yeah.
so once you got to Martinique, and
What made you pick Martinique before we even get to Martinique?
Good question.
So, tout parler français.
Huh? Excuse me.
Don't do
It
that.
is a francophone country.
Don't be doing that.
What'd you say?
It's
two
a
parts.
francophone country. Tout parler français en petit peu. And that's why.
yeah, okay, sure.
What?
Sure.
What's she
I'm
saying?
saying
I think they speak French there. They
French.
speak French there, and she speak French too.
I think my headphones is choppy.
She's like, I'm gonna go to a place that speaks English or French.
Yes.
And yeah, okay.
Okay.
But
I
she
can
said
blend
it
right
in
on
French.
in. I can
He said
fit
it
right
in French and not English.
She wanted to,
Awesome.
Shout out to our
French
French speaking fans out there.
She wanted to lightweight show her bilingual skills. She was like, I'm bilingual up in this motherfucker. Yeah.
That's right.
Are you
Robert
bilingual?
speaks
How many
Italian,
languages
so-
do you know?
So I'm not fluent in French. I actually grew up speaking French. I started learning French when I was 9. And I learned and retained French and was intermediate all the way from 4th grade through college.
Good.
And then you go 10
learning
years
French at 9 in Philly.
in private school.
There you go.
Word.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And,
How you say John in French?
how you say June?
No, John. John. How you say John in French?
She said June. Farmer
It's
June.
definitely John.
John.
Oh, that don't translate. That's John.
John.
Universal. It's John.
Yeah. It might be a little stronger on like the strong J, like the strong.
How you say farmer in French, and then have been whatever the French word for farmer is still
And
John.
John. Yeah. Parlez-vous from John.
Can you say John? Do you speak John?
You'd be like John.
Stupid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why you wear
What was the
Martinique?
question?
How'd you
So,
get to Martin?
Why'd you get to Martin? Why'd you
Then
pick
why'd you
Martin?
pick that? And then you said because I speak French.
Correct. Yeah. So I picked that country for that reason, and because after 10 years of not using it, you know, of those language skills that I had, I always, every time I find somebody that speaks French, I'm always like right to it, like, oh, and trying to speak with them because I really want to get all of that back. And I just love it. I love the language very much. So that's why I picked that country. It's literally the only reason why. And it also was an island. So I got to kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Well, let me ask you this question. Did you give any thought to say, you know what, I'm gonna just stay here?
Oh no, absolutely
okay.
not. I mean, and the reason why, I mean, I don't even know. I guess I could, but I can't because the way my life is set up, I can't do that. I am a mom, so even I have older children. But yeah, my son is 19 and my daughter is 14.
Okay.
So that was 4 years ago. I still had 2 kids in school.
Right.
My son just graduated high school last year, and
Congratulations.
my daughter is going into 9th grade this year. So I still got things to do.
Okay, I got you. She even pulled in a Kevin Hart.
Why you say that?
Way my life set up.
All right.
So you mentioned the fact that you went to Martinique and you came back from that. Did you come back kind of with pen and pad, like, or notebook of things that you needed to kind of hit the ground running with? Because this all happened very quickly. You said like in a 3-week span of like January. Like, what did that trip do to you? Or do for you, not to you, but for you, to kind of figure out what was going to be the next plan?
Yeah, so when I got to Martinique, I had 2 Airbnb stays. So one was in one part of the island, and then I picked another part of the island to stay for the second half of my trip. Both of my Airbnbs were integral in my decision making for my next steps when I got home, and I didn't realize that then. Like, literally, I was there for the trip. I was there for the vibes. I wanted to be near water, and I only picked my Airbnbs because they both had swimming pools. That was literally it. And like not shitty reviews. Like, those were my things.
Right.
It just so happened that my first Airbnb host was actually a Thai chef who was married to a man from Lyon. And they settled here in Martinique. And this chef made me breakfast every day and lunch as well when I was there. And each meal was accompanied by a cup of tea that he made using herbs that he picked right from his backyard. And I watched him do this. And so I was like, this is really cool. And so then when I went to another part of the island and I stayed with another family, their father ended up saying to me the first day I got there, like, hey, I know you're here by yourself. I know it's your birthday. If you want, I have sons. I can send one to come pick you up tomorrow. And I'm like, at this point, other people, when I tell this story, think I'm absolutely insane. They like, you have to,
yeah, I was wondering where you was going with this. It doesn't sound good.
Yeah,
I got sons. Oh, wait a minute now.
Like,
I mean, he's
what?
still
every
here,
father
obviously, but
just cringed like, hold on, wait a minute.
It did work out, but sheesh.
yeah, like I took a leap and I was just like, yep, definitely. Tell him come get me. And we out. And so that's what happened. Like one son came and got me, took me all around the island, spent the day with me, took me to the beach, took me to a brewery actually. That's like a beer that is only made in Martinique. I don't remember the name, but it was great. I'll find it though. I do have pictures. And then afterwards he was like, hey, I gotta go to work. You're welcome to come with me, or I can take you back to the house. And I was like, I'll come
to work.
First of all, his daddy called him up and said, drop what you doing, spend the day with this American. And he was like, cool. Like, hey, I had so much fun with you. I don't want to end this. Come to my job.
Yeah, it's kind of
That's
creepy.
a day. That's a day. I don't know.
No, that ain't even a day. That's a date.
Right.
He was courting. He was courting.
Did he give you your
definitely
groove
a date.
back? Did you get your groove back?
Did I get my groove back?
I said I got 2 kids.
So Stella had kids. What does her having kids have to do with her getting her groove back?
They might be watching. She don't want to tell them that.
But her groove back just means like she was feeling the vibe. She had was it a great time?
Yeah,
like,
that's what that means. Yeah, that's what it means.
Yeah, we talking in code, Rob.
Right,
you giving out the code.
The kids is listening. What you doing?
Yeah.
We will leave group. First of all, the answer to your question, the way you phrased it and meant it, is no.
No.
That's not how I meant it. You take it for how you want. I meant that you have a good time. Did he? It seems like if a man,
that, though.
it seems like if a man get a call from his daddy and he stop everything he's doing, that you had a great time. It don't matter what kind of great time.
I will say this about that dad, Lou. If the dad, like you said, had heard his son stop everything he was doing, he looked at her and said, hey, my son needs to meet you. My son needs to meet you.
Well, they could just be a beautiful people who just love people.
I'm with you, Lou.
That's exactly the question I was asking. Like, how fun was the time? It was so fun that he said, come to work with me.
Yeah, he didn't want you to go. He didn't want you to go.
He was being hospitable because that's what you do when you're an Airbnb host.
True.
He was going above and beyond for the 5-star review.
He was getting
but ain't above and beyond like making sure that that it's nice and clean for you.
That's like that. Yoda. Not like he was going for that 6.5 stars. He was going for the high stars. Those secret stars.
Because I'm pretty sure you didn't put in your review. Well, he sent his son for me, so.
And then what if she put that in the review and the next person come along and he don't
looking
send
for
his
the
son?
Right? Yeah.
She's looking for the lady looking for the son. Like, nah, you don't meet the criteria that Christa met. I'm not bringing him. I'm gonna bring my last son out. You can bring you can hang out with
everyone.
Right? He got a bus pass. Y'all go everywhere on the bus.
One day we'll get to the Philly John part of this.
We gotta have a part 2, Christa.
Oh, God.
We haven't even got off the island yet. We're still in month 1. We're in month 1.
We still in his car. We still in his car.
Right, you haven't even done your shift at the job yet.
Right, she ain't even say she went to work yet. Okay, go ahead. We're sorry.
All right, so I say yes, I'll come to work.
Whoa! Don't you go say?
Well, I figured that's where she was going. She went.
Cheers.
But this, I think,
I
is leading
said
up to this, leading up to why it became
Okay.
more of an inspiration, I believe.
Right.
I did not ask any other questions in that moment. I had we had a good rapport at this point. We spent the day together.
Right.
It was cool. And I decided to, go to work with him. And when I got there, it was a farm.
Yeah.
And that was what it was. I didn't know all of it.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
what I had the opportunity to do was to harvest vegetables and watch their team. I met his brother when I got there. And shout out to AJ and Sebastian, that's their names. I met them I met Sebastian when I got to the farm, and then I met two of their other staff that was there as well. And they were all packing fruits and vegetables into boxes. And that was like, wow. I don't know what was happening in that moment, but I just jumped in and was like, I seen the sequence of events and I just started helping. And then moments later, like in a little bit later, I asked, like, what are these for? And they were like, oh, like people are going to start coming to pick them up. And they placed white envelopes on each of these boxes. And I'm like, oh, and they were like, yeah, they're going to put 20 euros in here and they're going to take their food home. And I was like, wow, that's cool. Like y'all just picked this food. It's so fresh. And now people are going to come get it.
Right.
So when I saw that, I didn't actually have language for it because I'd never seen it in America, right? I never seen it here. I never seen it home. So when I saw that, I was like, that's really cool. And that was pretty much the end of it. I enjoyed that rest of the day with them. I spent the rest of the time there. And then I took my happy ass home, knowing that I was unemployed and still had responsibilities, house, car, kids, and that I'm single. So all of those things, I'm like, all right, yes, gig lifestyle now, but what is the future?
Right.
And I was immediately impassioned, and I'm like, I'm gonna be a farmer. So I literally took those two experiences from both of those different homes, one with the interaction with the tea, the other with being on a farm and seeing what a CSA, community supported agriculture, looked like, a real term that I found when I researched and when I got home. And I created both of those. I created a business around both of those, starting with the tea company, growing my own herbs, never touching dirt before also.
Oh, that was one of my questions. I was going to ask you if you had farmed before, at least a little bit.
Wow.
I am super prissy. I am prissy and urban. Prissy and urban. No.
But it's just crazy to me that this dude was like, yo, these people are ahead of their time. Yo, I'd never thought in a million years to take somebody for a date, because that's what it was, and this say, you want to come to work with me?
We need extra hands, guy.
He worked it all.
I hit a record there. We got extra hands.
We need extra hands. He was like, this thing is free.
You want to come to work with me, and then you jump in? Like, that's lit.
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't even think about that. Like, never ever.
You paid your whole way. You paid your whole way. You paid them double because you was actually paying for the Airbnb too.
Exactly. Wow.
Did you go to work with them every day?
No, I didn't. I did not.
Okay. All right. I was about to say,
yo, it's like,
you
now I'm thinking, I'm like, I should have back in the day just been like, yo, you like kids? Girl be like, yeah, take her to my house, let her watch my kids and leave.
But the good thing is
now you a babysitter, girl. Now you a babysitter. Now you got to take care.
If she didn't say yes, she would not have experienced the CSA part of it.
So exactly.
It did bring it to it had a point.
It's all kismet. It's always
the universe was saying you need to say yes.
Yes.
And I think that was around
you gotta take chances.
That was around the time that book came out for Shonda Rhimes, right? Say yes, book a year of yes or something like that. I don't know if that was the same year. But it was close to that time.
But yeah, what I realized is like now looking back, that whole experience, and I've never been a fearful person. Like I don't know if I should say this, but I don't really have fear. So I just do. If I think it,
same.
I want to do it. But it's like
you live in Philly, you can't have no fears living there. Go ahead.
That's a fact. And but if you're familiar with Richard Branson, which is this like billionaire white man that is the founder of Virgin Airlines.
Yep. I love that airline.
Let's do it. It's his thing. That's what he says, and that's really been my mindset. And I can remember like from forever. It's always been like, are we just going to do this? Like I think it, I want to do it, I'm doing it. Just exactly how I quit my job. So
right.
yeah, like that. It wasn't no real thought process. Like I felt it and I did it and that was it.
All right, I got a personal question. So who
Yeah.
do you feel like that you've inherited that from? It mom, dad, aunt, uncle, like who is that
Richard
kindred
Branson?
spirit besides Richard Brand?
You know, I'm old
Branson?
because you said
Because-
airline. The first thing I thought was Virgin Records.
Virgin
I know
Records,
I'm old.
yeah.
Well, have you ever did a Virgin Airlines flight?
No, because it was only there for like 10
No.
days. Before,
Yeah, but I did, and
Best
it was
flights
one of
ever,
the
yo.
best experiences.
Ever. Yep.
Best. Like I got on the
Wow.
flight and it was like the music was jamming. Like I never got on a flight like that where I felt like I can't even remember what song was playing, but it was like the best. It was
Didn't
like
even matter.
disco lights going on. I was like, yo, this is like soul plane.
Soul plane,
Yeah.
right?
It
I'm
is
like
the
soul
best
plane on this joint. And I was on a
Yeah,
real
it
commercial
is.
airline.
It's comfortable and everything.
But
Well, that's
back to
what-
my
I mean, that's what
question,
it brings.
Christa, like who is that person that you feel like that you maybe has been that vessel that have taught you that no fear, like you must win? Because I have that similar personality. And I know I get that from my mom, you know what I mean? Of my parents, you know what I mean? Of like my lineage. So who do you feel like you've got that from?
To be honest, I think that no one that are my family members, I am completely foreign to all of them. When we're talking about this kind of thing, like you did what? Like it's like you left what hospital? Like you
Right.
like you supposed to
got that
retire from
parking
there.
spot. You got that
You-
parking
Right.
spot, girl.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Said, my mom made it.
You were
there.
supposed to
Yeah,
retire from there. You were supposed to do
Yes.
You're supposed to
the
have that
whole
parking spot in
the
perpetuity.
bid. You were supposed to do
Right.
the bid and
You were
end
supposed
it.
to do the bid.
Right.
Exactly. Like that was all of it that I was
Mindset.
getting from everywhere. And I think that that's just because how we are indoctrinated as
Yep.
Americans
Yep.
and as Black people
Mhm.
to think that one, as a Black person, to not expect and want more for yourself. Like
Mhm.
this is what you got and this is pretty great. So
Mhm.
just stick with that. And then as an American, this American dream that we're supposed to be like going for, but what is that? And is it even attainable? And like there's levels to that. It's just so much. And so honestly, I love reading. And so when I think about like where these ideas came from, I really think it's from reading and in music too. Like
Okay.
I love Nina Simone. I love James Baldwin, two of my favorite absolute people. Once somebody asked me if I could have coffee with anyone, which I don't drink, I only drink tea. However, if I could have a beverage and chill and relax and talk to someone in the past, who would it be? And immediately it's James Baldwin. And that is one of my, my favorite people. And then I also take from, I think I definitely was influenced by Oscar Wilde, who was my favorite author in English literature.
Okay.
So there is, and yes, like taking things from men that are white and dead, but whatever, it happened. I enjoy reading. I enjoy reading, and like English literature is some of my favorite stuff to read. And when you listen to James Baldwin and Nina Simone, you can hear the influence of European culture in their life, but how they turn it to be fitting and in an alignment with the Black experience.
Interesting.
So that's why
Nice.
I love
Okay.
those particular people and things. And so they
So yeah, you've drawn a lot of inspiration from the things around you and the things that you love that have cultivated you.
Absolutely. I would definitely say that. I mean, like, I come from hardworking people. My parents are definitely hard workers, but hard workers to an extent of, because this is what I'm doing. I have a career.
Yeah.
And that's what my father's an entrepreneur. He's been a mechanic and owns two mechanic shops. And my mother is I grew up with her being a registered nurse, which is why my love of medicine was always supported. And then she decided, she just got her her doctorate, her first doctorate, which is called a doctorate of nursing practice. She did that 3 years ago, or maybe 4. And now she's still in school right now for her PhD of nursing. So
That's
You know
what's
what I
up.
mean? So like I have people that always are reaching for the stars and they have goals for their life around me, but it's more of like playing it safe. Whereas I'm like to abandonment of everything because I'm so I can get up here, all the way up there.
Right.
Well,
That's kind of like
now.
Nina. That's kind of like Nina Simone and James Baldwin. Like they were so unhappy with America that they moved away. And like you said, their influence of being in the European and being a little bit less racist towards them helped influence how great their writing and singing was. And that's what you're doing. You left Philly even for those couple of weeks in Martinique just to come back to Philly and put your French Martinique farmer stamp on it.
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
And
all
that
right, Lou, I see
Lou.
you. Okay.
Lou.
Sometimes I'll be out here, man. Sometimes I'll be out here. Every once in a while, I'll be like, Jewel dropped.
Drop that joint.
Thank you, man. Appreciate y'all.
Man.
Say once in a while.
So walk us through that
Yeah,
in terms
please
of.
do.
I know you said you started with the you came back to Philly, and you started with the Viva leaf tea.
Yes.
I was like, so how did that start? Like, was that you just said I'm gonna just start this tea company?
I knew nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew nothing. I knew absolutely
Start with
nothing
the
about any of
research.
this
Start
thing.
with the research then.
Yeah, I started with the research. So what I did in order to make it all work, because yes, I'm now jumping into this gig lifestyle so I can still support all my responsibilities. So from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m., I drove Uber. And from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., I did Instacart, buying and delivering groceries for people. So that was my sequence Monday through Friday. And then I would hop into doing a couple more rides on the weekends if needed. But in the middle of those days, I was thinking of my master plan and literally like getting to it, researching, figuring out where I can visit farms to like learn more about growing. I'm talking to anybody who will listen about my new interests. And one of my very good friends, actually a guy I was dating at the time, in 2018, he said, who actually I met, I'm just gonna throw that in there. I would have never met him if I was at work, because I met him in February. And in May, he bought me a greenhouse for Mother's Day.
Okay.
Oh, he was. I'm so into
a little greenhouse.
Oh, like
A little
SWB. You know what I'm gonna do?
That was like don't throw stones at glass houses type
A
of
little
greenhouse.
A little greenhouse, not a whole building.
Yo.
In February,
Window pane.
March, April, May, yeah, greenhouse. Yeah,
What kind
let's
of
see.
greenhouse was this? How many square feet?
Was it big? Little?
It retails for about $600.
Okay.
The one
He's spending.
that I got.
He's spending.
Wait,
Yeah,
February, March.
but it
What you
was
do to this dude?
small.
February,
He's
March,
spending.
April.
No, he's spending.
He's still her
$500, $600. That ain't nothing. It ain't got but 2 zeros behind it. He good. He good. He ain't got but 2 zeros.
600
After 2 zeros, it's getting serious.
Right. If
If
you would
you
have
do
did
3 zeros, then it's going.
$6,000 greenhouse, he was going to propose.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
600 in 4 months is good. Like, I don't.
You know, we can spend that on like 4 dates at like.
But that wasn't 4 days. That was one
Right.
gift.
That's
That
good.
was-
He's
that was
still
Mo-
in the good. He's still in the
That
green.
was
2
Mother's
zeros.
Day.
On
That was
Mother's Day, he don't get know her kids like that. It's only 3 months.
So what?
However,
How much y'all
Go ahead,
spend on
go
y'all wives for Mother's Day?
A lot.
Yeah,
I bought a car, 40,000.
I thought that was a birthday present.
No, it was Mother's Day.
It's every
I feel like
it's
y'all
every
both kinda paying
holiday
for that.
present.
It was
Yeah,
Mother's Day.
well,
But go ahead. Go back to
you said that
Christa.
was every Mother's Day present.
Yeah, like for the next 10
This
years.
one and all, everyone after.
Go ahead. But you asked the question. Go ahead, Christa.
So yeah, that was I would have never met that person had I still been at work. You know what I mean? And I would have never had these experiences. So I just started to see, again, I'll use the word you just used, serendipitous. Everything was just in alignment and pushing me towards this goal of, becoming an actual farmer. So because I live in a concrete jungle, my backyard is concrete, and he realized that, and I'm like, I want to farm, I want to grow, I don't know where to start or what to do. And he bought me this greenhouse, and I used that space to begin growing herbs because I knew I wanted to start with a tea company. I knew that because I'm like, what is the origin of our tea? How long does it sit on shelves? And then not even just the shelves, but then like how long after you get the tea from the store, how long does it sit on your shelf at home? People don't usually blast through tea unless you're a tea lover or a connoisseur and like that's your jam. But I remember growing up with tea, and it was only if you were sick did I drink it, and I was drinking like the basic brands that will remain nameless. But I was drinking like the basic stuff, and I was like, no, like there is more to this industry. And that's when I did also realize that the whole rest of the world adores tea. It's us Americans that think, and people love coffee too in other parts of the world.
Soda and coffee,
Yeah, but it's centralized in the culture of other countries. And so I wanted to delve into that. And then I wanted to take it a step further and see like, what does being Black in the tea industry mean? Because it's such a colonized, like everything else, but it's such a colonized and whitewashed industry. And I wanted to make a change. And I'm like, this is how I'm going to differentiate. I have my degree is in healthcare administration, which is a business degree, which was all about how do I make doctors money and practices profitable. So I took all of those skills and I adapted them to this company that I began to build. And I wanted to make my stuff different. Like, how do I separate them from me or me from them? And then in my marketing and my messaging, but also in my product. And I did that I'm like, I'm going to grow it. Nobody doing that. Ain't nobody out here doing that. So I'm like, I'm going to grow my own herbs, and then we're going to blend them into teas. And then I'm going to talk about all the wellness benefits of knowing where your tea comes from and the herbs that people say, like, you know, all of us know overarching that herbs have healing benefits. But do we know exactly what they are, especially in the Black community? When our culture, especially indigenous people from the African diaspora, our ancestors use herbs for all types of healing all the time. So we are so disconnected from that. And I'm like, I'm going to bring us back. And so that's what the tea company was for.
Nice.
Yeah. So you still kind of remain in the health field, really?
Right.
Exactly. Like what I do now. Yeah, very much so. It's a reincarnation of my healthcare career. So I'm still in healthcare in a more meaningful way. And even with the food, you know, like teaching people where their food comes from matters, and giving people the skills and the confidence to know that they can grow their own food if you want to. But if you don't want to, because time deficits still do exist, you can at least, and you should at least, know who your farmer is, and you should know how they're growing your food, and know that you can also come to the farm as well and have access to that space where that food is growing. So yeah, that's what FarmerJawn is all about. FarmerJawn, you're familiar with Jawn as a word, you know, people, place, thing, person, place, a thing. It's a noun. And so when I named the company FarmerJawn, it was truly a message to my people, to urban people, that anybody can farm.
Right.
Nice.
So when did well, we know you can't. You started with Viva, a leaf tea. So when did you say, you know what, I want to take this even further, not just teas, but I want to actually be out here really farming, like farming.
Vegetable streets.
So how that ended up happening, I started a tea company in my backyard. Then I was like, okay, I also did a tea tasting, my very first tea tasting for the community. So that was 2018 when I started, got the greenhouse in May of 2018, did my first tea tasting in September of 2018. Yes. And then that was pretty much that. And I was just like figuring it out. I also realized that, like, quitting my job and then starting to date a person, I realized that I slowed my growth a little bit by starting to focusing on another person. So
it can happen. Because you're trying to build you're trying to build your own thing, but you're also naturally trying to build that and also build them, because it's just human nature. It's just human nature.
Yes. And so I definitely, thinking about it, definitely see the retardation of my timeline, but it doesn't mean I still didn't get to where I needed to be. Right. But I just got there a little bit slower in that year, 2018. But by 2019, it was over. So then it was fine. And I was like, all right, Zoom.
I'd have took that
Thank you
greenhouse
for that-
right
thank you
back.
for that greenhouse.
2019.
No, thanks for that greenhouse plan.
She said her backyard. She said by this time she was in her backyard. She ain't need that little greenhouse.
It's not me.
She was in her-
It's you.
Yeah,
It's not me. It's you. You gotta go.
don't do that.
I'd have took all the vegetables
We
in there,
petty.
whatever was grown.
Yo, we petty.
You know, I'll take all the tomatoes and chamomile.
Everything.
You can't have my chamomile, man.
Wait,
Yoda.
Mm-mm.
Yo.
Mm-mm.
in September of 2018, I also decided that I no longer wanted my daughter to be in traditional school, and so I decided to homeschool her that year as well. So I took her out of school.
What year?
And looking for
What grade
field
year?
trips.
What grade is she in at this point?
She was going to 5th grade. So I had her 5th, 6th, and 7th grade. So she was with me for 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, she was with me for three years, and then COVID happened within that, and so like literally her first year back to school was last year in 8th grade.
Okay.
Yeah. And then she's going to high school. So so backing it up to September of 2018, I'm looking for field trips. I'm looking for things to take her to do as well during the day. So like I'm still doing my 5 to 9 on both sides schedule, thinking of my master plan and doing it, and also homeschooling her at the same time. So she's heavily involved in my stuff. Like, you know, I'm building a business. I'm building a business from scratch. And so like a lot of what I'm doing, she's seeing and learning, and we're adapting to different skill sets for her. We go on this field trip to a local environmental center. And I see that when I get there, I see that they also have organic farms. And then I ask for a tour of those, and I see that it's over 200 acres of land that's still in Philadelphia proper, just on the edge, right next to the county. And it's all this land, and it's been in existence for over 30 years. So I'm starting to see this theme and this like succession of there's shit available as far as like what I consider wellness, access to lands, environmental justice, where everybody has access to land and knowing where their food comes from. But there aren't enough people. I consider myself pretty well educated, and I don't know anything about these spaces.
Yeah.
And so then it took me 1, quitting my job. It took me 2, trying to homeschool my daughter and give her different experiences for me to see all these different things around me. And so I saw that there was land. I applied for some land, and I got a small space, about 1,200 square feet. So then I upgraded from my 24 square feet in my backyard to 1,200 square feet, growing a bunch of herbs. And then I saved a small portion of that space because I'm like, I want to start growing food for 10 people, for 10 families. Now here is FarmerJawn. And this is in 2019, in August of 2019, where I'm like full-fledged, like, all right, I'm figuring out how to grow. I'm getting more comfortable with it. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to launch a CSA. CSA is community supported agriculture. What I learned about when I got back here, but what I saw when I was in Martinique, that's what I saw happening, but did not have the language for it at that time. And, you know, understanding people that are in tune with knowing where their food comes from and wants to support local farms is a very not Black thing. And I realized it's because of the trauma that Black people have endured. So I started to put all
from
these
farming
together.
and fields
farming.
and the whole
All of that.
ancestry.
And like why we have such a bad relationship with food is directly correlated to our ancestors' experiences growing food. And I was just like, and it blew me away when all these pieces kept coming together for me.
And
I was like,
I don't be on that field again. Absolutely not. I get it.
And then when they were supposed to give us the 40 acres and a mule, and they didn't.
Yes.
And then they told us that any farmland we did have, they bought it from us at a lesser price, and then gave us processed foods and diabetes.
Exactly. Yeah, like in the early 1900s, there were over 1 million Black farms that existed in the United States. And now here we are in 2022, and there's 45,000 farms that are Black owned, and only 33,000 of those are owned and operated by Black families and Black people. And so, you know, all of that to say, these are all things that I've been just learning along the way, but back up a little bit back to 2019 when I was like, all right, I'm gonna use this land. I've been growing tea. I've been doing my thing. I did my first tea tasting, and then it was time for me to do my first, like, I'm going to start selling it. Let me go out into the world and start selling my products. My very first time selling anything to anyone was in September of 2019. And that very first time, the buyer for the senior buyer at that, which I didn't know at the time, when he walked over to me with a baby strapped to his chest and his rainbow flip-flops and shorts. And he was talking to me about my products, and he was like, yo, this is amazing. Your product is beautiful. He's saying all these things to me, and I'm just like, oh, thank you. Like, you gonna buy some? Like, like
so
I'm going buy a lot here. The bottom line is
right. I'm like, that's lovely. And then I remember his mother-in-law coming over, and they like tasting the Tulsi basil, and they're like, oh, this is really good. All of that. And then he asked me a question. He says, did you ever think about UPCing? And I'm like, you know how you be trying to act like you know what people talking
Right.
about? And I'm just like, and I just was honest, and I was just like,
What is that?
I don't know what a UPC is. And he was like, oh, like that. And I'm like, and I said, and this also was a lesson to just being honest about what the shit you know and shit you don't. And he said, he was like, oh, the barcodes. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was like, yeah, I never thought about that. I said, to be honest, this is all new for me. And I just gave him a little brief, like my background is in healthcare, and this is, something new for me that I'm doing. And he was like, you should come down to the Bruno Brothers and have a meeting with me next week. And I said to him,
in this space, yes.
Here I go. I don't even know what the Bruno Brothers is.
Why not?
And it's a shame because I work downtown. Right? Like, I worked downtown for years. So and that is the top specialty grocer in our region. And then after I went and took his business card, he gave me his business card, and I did some research, and I was like, I know them. That's the people with the crab cakes.
Oh, see, so you weren't honest with him from the gate like you were when he asked you about the barcodes, but when he said come have a meeting with me, you was just like, yeah, sure. He ain't know what you was going into.
Didn't have a clue what I was going into.
She don't have no fear.
Right. Let's go.
Oh, he had a business card, and she said, I can look it up.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
True that.
As soon as he walked away from me, that's when I looked up the Brewer Brothers, and that's why I was like, oh, yeah, I know. I remember seeing them, like, they're on my walk from the train, And then within a couple of weeks, I was in their office talking about how my honey was going to be launched in their stores, which was
vision
what?
board.
That's crazy.
And so that was the first step of that. And so while that was happening, COVID also came into play, as we all know, when 2020 finally got here. While we were still negotiating, while we were figuring out what flavors they were going to take, all this stuff. And then COVID jumps in the mix. But right before COVID, on March 8th of 2020, I had my very first article ever in the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Wow.
And that article came out because there was a feature. Somebody wanted to do a feature. The Inquirer wanted to do a feature on Black businesses. And so I was one of those features. And they sent out a whole photography team, a journalist, all the things. Like, this was like my first expose, if you will. Right. And I remember when that article came out, a couple days later, there was this man that was calling my phone, and he was like, hey, I have a greenhouse, a lot of them, and I'd love for you to come see them. And I'm just like, okay. So I go to Elkins Park, which is a town in Montgomery County, literally 10 minutes from Philly, right? Really close to my home. And I go to meet him, and I walk on a property that is 40,000 square feet, 1 acre of all greenhouses. All greenhouses.
You were.
And he's I think this would be great for you. And I'm just like,
what do you mean?
This is a white Jewish man. And so I'm like, talking to him, and I'm just like, I'm thinking to myself, like, Christa, you've been farming for 5 minutes.
Right.
And look at where you at.
Yeah.
She was. She said, no fear. I'm no fear.
Crazy. And I say to him, I'm like, you know, thank you. So after I saw it, I walked through the property, and then I say to him after, I'm like, thank you so much, but this is just a lot. I do want to scale, but scaling from a 24 square foot greenhouse to a 1,200 square foot plot to 40,000 square feet is a lot.
Crazy. Yeah.
And he says, basically like, okay, well, I hope you reconsider, but like, no problem. And that was that. A month later, I'm doing my thing. My CSA is going well with my 10 families. I got a person that's driving all the way from Clifton Heights, which is Delco, to come to Germantown to pick up her food from me. I'm honored just in that alone. I just had an article in the Inquirer. I'm buzzing a little bit. People are starting to pick me up and know about me more based on the tea. FarmerJawn has no shine at this point because I launched FarmerJawn in January of 2020. So the people that know about it are people in my neighborhood, primarily, and people that are in like the Facebook groups where that woman from Clifton Heights came from. So I'm just doing my thing, and then all of a sudden he calls me again 30 days later, roughly, and he's like, "Hey, it's me again. I really think that you should reconsider. This is such a great opportunity for you." And then I'm just like, I'm dating somebody else at the time, and I like talk to him, and I'm like, what in the world? And I just was like, let's go.
He said, "You better do it. I ain't buying you no greenhouse."
He ain't have 40,000 square feet. I tell you that right now. Not farming.
That was the only time I feel like I really hesitated in this whole process. In these last 4 years, I feel like that was the time where I hesitated the first time. But then God in the universe was like, or maybe even my ancestors was like, "Nah, we're gonna circle back on this."
Yeah, right. Call her again.
Yeah, and that man called me, and then I was in those greenhouses, and then FarmerJawn took off. It took all the way off. We were in papers, magazines. We were in on news all the time. We was like, all that stuff started to happen. And I'm like, yo, all I want to do is grow food for people. And so I'm like, now that's why the learning never stops. It's like, okay, now I need to become more educated in farming because there was nobody to teach me how to do this. I went to farms to learn, and the farms in the area that I went to go learn from or reached out to, weren't super receptive, one, and two, because they're busy. I understand it now, especially now. I'm like, they're busy. Like, you're running a farm season, you got things to do. And so the volunteer days is what I would jump on. I would jump on the volunteer days, but then I realized that the volunteer days were only weeding and only like bagging up vegetables. I wasn't getting to learn the film, which are great and definitely needed. And my volunteer days look similar. However,
like the grunt work though.
Yeah, which is necessary, and that's where farms need the help. But what I was looking for in that moment was foundation.
Right.
How do I begin this? And there was nowhere to figure that out. So I've literally just been learning and teaching myself along the way until my name started buzzing, and then farmers that have been doing this for forever started reaching out to me, inviting me to their farms for me to feature and speak on things that I am learning.
Right,
so that's where I really started to pick up my skills through that avenue.
This is amazing. So what do you think, how do you grow this CSA platform in a way that it doesn't, that it still keeps you connected, to the community, and then how do you said you started out with this Facebook platform to grow it. Like, how do you is that where you want to stay? Or and then
it's
how
not where I am now.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
Literally, it's scaled. So I still have that. I went from having 10 CSA members, then to having 30, then to having 50, 60, 75, and to now having 88 CSA members.
So like your exponential growth,
correct.
In like a year.
1 second. What are we talking about when we say CSA and you got 80 members? Like, what does that
community supportive agriculture?
Yeah, I know what the acronym means.
You buy into like a portion of the so you get your vegetables and stuff. Anything they grow that year,
right?
You put in the box and you get yours. Right.
So like my buddy Dave does this.
Yeah,
like he goes. It's like whatever that's in the bag, right? Or like whatever you harvest, right? You put a price on it. Am I right? and you like,
Well,
okay, this is what you're getting in that bundle or some of that type of thing?
Yeah, so the model of CSA is, been around for a long time for farmers because it's beneficial, because whoever decides to become a member of that farm, of my farm, that means that they're paying for their CSA 3 months ahead of time.
Right.
So I'm receiving the revenue from my members 3 months before my season gets started, which is necessary. It's needed because that's when I need to start growing for y'all.
Right.
So I need to start planning. I need to know how many people I can hire for this season. I need to know how many, all of that. So it helps to prepay. What I realized is that.
So Christa, if I wanted to be, say, if Brews and Banter wanted to be a member of your CSA, what would it entail from start to finish? Like, how does it work?
So, you would go on my website, you would see the link, you would join, you would pay for the membership. And paying for the membership, you would get all the information as far as the dates that it starts and the pickup locations as well. And once the season begins, like our fall season will begin in a few weeks. Once that season begins, then you or your brothers would come to me and come pick up your food. And you would get 8 to 10 items each week, depending on which size you got. So like now,
peppers, tomatoes, all kinds of different things, right?
Okra, peppers.
So can we pick what vegetables and fruits we want, or is it just whatever?
I would say no. It's whatever.
So it's whatever Christa would be growing at that season. That's what we get.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yep. Okay. And it varies every single week. So like it's a very different variation every week. So in the very beginning of when I'm starting to plant for the season, I'm planting about 35 different things at once, so that in succession each week there's something different for y'all, and then I'm doing some additional plantings as after every week passes, so that there's always something growing.
Nice.
And so you're getting food for the whole season. And mine is unique because I am completely organic, and there's not a lot of organic CSAs, and there's definitely not organic CSAs that are run by Black women. There's not even enough farms that are Black, especially in the city. And there's not enough Black woman-led farms that are growing for production too. Like there's a lot of people that are in the food sovereignty space that say like, oh yeah, we need to be growing food for the masses, but there's not enough people that have access to land to do it. So I'm in a very I would honestly say I'm privileged. I'm honored to be able to do what I do at the scale that I do it, because it's super uncommon.
So sidebar,
especially being in the city.
So sidebar, but also relative to this discussion, Christa, our oldest son, my wife and I's oldest son, is a natural born vegetarian. And when I say natural born, he has always rejected meat. And we've had for the last 11 years to always shop at a farmer's market. He will not, he will reject even like most processed stuff. So anything fruits or vegetables that are like, canned or whatever, like the most he'll do canned is like beans. He'll do black eyed peas, loves it, like loves beans. But to something like this we've had to always go to a farmer's market weekly to, pretty much, feed him. And we were like, I mean, he's the cheapest kid to feed of our two because of this type of thing. So having like this, we haven't ever joined a CSA, but it sounds like something like a CSA for us would be ideal because of what we do weekly. And we would be paying it weekly anyway, because that's just what we have to do for it.
Right. We used to be a part of a CSA, but it wasn't Black owned, so that definitely is a
plus.
It's definitely a plus for sure.
Yeah.
Though ain't awesome. Like with it being in the city, it's like it's no Whole Foods or nothing around the city area, so like that.
Yeah, only Whole Foods I've ever seen on South Street.
I was gonna say,
that's
it's like
weird.
Share with us a little bit about your pickup locations. I work 3 days a week in the city. I'm on 29th and Walnut. So you speak of city, like I've been in the city almost 17 years back and forth, but where are some of your pickup locations?
Yeah, so right now we have 3. The one that we have is obviously at our farm, which is basically 19th and Cheltenham, if you're familiar with that area.
Yeah. I know Uptown. I know all that area.
Yeah, Uptown. So right near Linwood Gardens, right near the old Cheltenham Mall.
Yep.
That's where one is, because that's where my farm is. We have 5 acres there.
Okay.
And then in a greenhouse that's there as well. And then my second location is my storefront. I own a garden center that I opened because I wanted to promote people knowing how to grow their own food and provide them with the space to get all the things. So FarmerJawn Greenery is on Germantown Avenue in Mount Airy.
I know where that is. Yep.
Yep. And so that's a pickup location. And we just partnered with another brand. It's High Street Hospitality Group. We will be it's called High Street Bakery is the name of the actual business. It's at 9th and Walnut. And that is going to be our third pickup location this coming fall season. Nice. And the goal is to continue to expand. FarmerJawn has so many things happening at once. So many different opportunities come my way, and I'm getting to a point where I have to decipher when and if I should say no to certain things or not now to certain things. Right. Because we are expanding and we are growing. Opening that garden center, and I did that on Earth Day of this year. And that was just something I knew was necessary. Like I said, everybody doesn't feel like empowered to grow their own food because of the trauma that we deal with. So I wanted to, make a safe space for Black people, but all people are definitely welcome to come and be able to grow food, be able to get the skills and what they need to grow food. Nice. And starting in the next 2 weeks, God willing, at that greenery, we're also partnering with a brewery that will be opening in the next coming week.
Okay.
Yeah. What's it is? Pass me another. What is it?
There you go. Full circle, Christa. Good job.
So, yeah.
I was going to actually ask about.
That was one of my
I was going to ask if you
too.
do hops or grains or stuff like that nature. So that actually is that's pretty cool. Now all this falls under because you said you have FarmerJawn Agriculture, you have Viva Leaf Tea, FarmerJawn Greenery. Like this all falls under another umbrella because you also started a 501c3 as well, correct?
I did, yeah. The 501c3 is it's called FarmerJawn and Friends Foundation Fund, and that just goes back to when I said I could not find anywhere to grow food or like to learn how to grow food and to get those skills anywhere in the city that was somebody that was going to be willing to invest in me, but not only teach me how to grow food, but also to the next level of becoming an agripreneur. What if I want to quit my job? There's so many people out there that are now so interested because representation matters. And COVID taught us a lot. Right. COVID definitely taught us that we should know where our food comes from. It taught us that we need to be healthier people overall. Right. And one way to be healthier, especially as Black people, is to know what we're putting into our bodies. So there are people that I had an opportunity to train over the last 3 months, 7 individuals who all had one-on-ones with me, who all had their own space on the farm to be able to work within, to learn and get skills to be able to take it and translate it into their own agripreneur business. And they're all Black and brown. And to me, that's the icing on the cake. Right. Because if we go back to what we said about the exodus of Black farmers because of loss of land and the trauma, it's time for us to increase that number. But what better way to do that is to use all the resources I have, land and people and connections, and give it back to them.
So are you saying you also sublet some of your land to other future farmers or up and coming farmers?
I'm not subletting, so to speak. What I actually do that's a yes and a no, and I'll say why. On the land that I currently am in at Elkins Park in Montgomery County, I have 5 acres where on a small portion of that, they all learn skills together on that same piece of land.
Okay. So that's like class. That's like the school.
Pretty much. It's pretty much a university, like how myself and my COO set it up. It's that, they have on-site skills and then they meet with a ton of different people within agriculture, all my connections. So, and I match them with people to help mentor them towards their goals, and get them set up with things that as Black people, we struggle with, accountants and people that do business formations. Like, how do you get an LLC? Do you want to S Corp or a C Corp? Like a place to be able to ask all these questions and to get you really set and solid. Yes. And so that's what we provided for these 7 individuals that we chose. Like I had 50 applications that myself and my COO went through, and we ended up landing on 10 people, and then we ended with 7. And so I was very happy with those results, and I'm really excited to see what they do next.
That's awesome.
Wait, what kind of community awards have you won? Like, so,
you in the runners,
right?
I feel like the Enquirer, being in the Enquirer is like another equivalent of having a parking space in Center City for a person.
Oh, okay.
I guess that's true. That's true.
No.
But this sounds like she needs an award. Like that's a lot for the community, man.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, Philly Mag did just name me the Philly's best community leader. They just came out with their list for Philly's best, and I was on it, and I was very proud to be.
That's what I'm talking about.
Philly's best community wellness leader.
What's up? That's what's up.
Thank you. Yeah, so there's a number of accolades and just honestly, people I don't even need all of that. It really comes down to like really seeing the impact of people's lives. And there's still so much work to do. Like I need to farming needs to be convenient, and I need to make farming as convenient as possible because we can't really expect like a bunch of people are going to be popping up gardens in their front yards. Like that's just not something that everybody's going to do. So we need to put as many, access to farming and fresh food in as many neighborhoods as possible, especially communities of color.
I say I'm gonna start a garden every year.
That's what I was just about to ask. What if, like, for people like Yoda, do you do consultations in his yard and help him develop a space?
Yes, the answer to your question is yes. I've built many gardens and farms for multiple people throughout the city.
Nice.
Come on down.
So yeah, absolutely.
That's
now, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you how to say the word I was trying to say earlier.
Oh, helter skelter,
like a horticulturist.
So agriculture was one that you was having a little bit of trouble with.
Agriculture, no, I got agriculture.
Okay, we got that.
Hold on, he tried to say horticultural.
Horticultural.
Yeah, it was
horticulturalist.
Yes, horticulture or horticulturalist.
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 Yeah. Enough.
We not stupid, y'all.
Horticulture.
I think Kyle was saying hort and not hort. Hort.
Yes, horticulture. Yeah. So now I like to say that agriculture is the culture because I want to make it. I want people to know that it's cool. It's cool. And putting your hands in soil is cool, and being able to feed yourself and your family and know where your food comes from, all that is cool. We all love food so much. And so, there's so many awards that are out here for chefs. There's all these shows that glorify chefs, and we go to people's restaurants because we glorify them, but we don't ever talk about where the food is coming from.
Right.
And that's the responsibility that we need to start putting on our purveyors where we do go eat. Like even our markets, like where are y'all sourcing this stuff from?
Yeah,
like everybody just needs
you can ask some of those questions. We might not get the answer from like the employee who's just kind of covering that area, but you need to ask the right people.
The grocery store should have that.
Should know and have that information.
They got buyers and stuff. So
they got buyers. So I would say coming from a family of entrepreneurs, but in different, industries. One is my brother, who he's by day, he's a license and inspection manager for the city of Chester. But by afternoon in his side business, he's grown a successful solo subs company. Where he does now majority like catering, but I do know for a simple fact that he buys all of his stuff fresh, like by day he's buying all of his peppers, onions, all these things, ingredients to make his sandwiches. Do you do business currently with not just families but small Black owned businesses to source sort of some of the ingredients and stuff for their day-to-day business?
So small businesses are my preference for sure. And small little petite restaurants are also my preference. So what I do is I do custom growing, which is very different than most farmers. A lot of farmers and the way that it's always been done, right? Is you grow a bunch of food and then you try to find somewhere to sell it. I do it the opposite way because environmental health is also important to me. And I understand that waste is a huge attribute towards why our earth is dying.
Mhm.
So, you know, that's just true. So I make sure that if the food has a home already before I start growing it.
Nice.
Okay.
So the answer to your question is yes. I have a custom inquiry link on my link tree on my Instagram, and I accept custom inquiries from different small restaurants. I love growing lettuces, and I love growing things that are more nutrient dense. Yeah. But also different because like, you know, let's introduce these customer bases to something that isn't just like this regular lettuce that they've been eating their whole life. Like,
and I mean, and you're cutting out that middle person. You know what I mean? Like you're doing that direct, you know, just vendor, you know, customer. You're cutting out that middle broker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris, I have a two-part question for you. Are you able in this region to farm outside all year round, or do the greenhouses help for the fall and winter all season farming? Is that so? Is it any farming outside during the winter season? What are y'all growing there?
Some crops will overwinter, but having a greenhouse to extend your season is certainly helpful. Or even having what's called a low tunnel is a hooped piece of plastic that you can cover your crops with. Okay. And then they have high tunnels, which are the larger, higher greenhouses that you can purchase, and they're both different price points. Obviously, a low tunnel is cheaper, so that's why people at home are able to do that and farmers as well. You know, we use both to extend the season. I want to be able to grow food as long as possible, but we do live where we do get winters. And so my ability to produce does decrease because then, you know, I have about 3,000 square feet of greenhouse. So yes, I can heat that and I can grow all for the, you know, even through the winter. But the real key for everyone to be able to eat when it's cold or eat when the apocalypse and the zombies get here is to have, you know, you gotta have preserves. Right. You know, pickling things, fermenting. This is a art of our ancestors as well. And so it's like, you know, these are things that we can do so that we're not wasting this food that's growing, and so that we're not hungry when the going gets tough.
This is a sidebar. I heard that pickling is not just done with vinegar. Is that true? Like you could,
I mean, there's so many different ways.
And air tightness.
Correct. Yeah, and canning. Yeah, there's like pickling, there's canning and preserving. Like that's making jams. Like Smucker's got rich off of preserving.
Preserves. That's why it's the term preserves, right?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, like you cook it down and then you put it in a jar and then it holds for forever. You know, years and years.
Yeah.
Because of that glass is airtight.
I wouldn't like to eat something pickled in water though. Like,
so did she answer the second part of your question, Lou, which is the things that you grow in the winter? Like, what do you what do you change to? What do you switch to primarily? Even though you said you can heat, but what's more hardy
in Philly in this region? What are we growing outside?
Yeah, so your brassicas is a new word for y'all. Brassica.
Oh, Rob, say it.
Yes.
Brassica? I don't even know what it is, so it doesn't matter.
Brassica is the Latin officinalis name for the family of kale.
Okay. We love some kale. We love them good greens.
Yes. And if you notice, like the marketing food world snuck that in on us about I would say like 15, maybe 20 years ago, maybe less than that, honestly. Like kale was not something that we was all eating. I definitely didn't grow up eating kale.
No.
And so if you remember, kale was that piece of leaf that was under the chicken wings on your plate.
Right.
So you know what I mean? It was the decoration of it all. So, you know, now that kale is this plant that everyone likes to eat for the most part, a part of that family is a bunch of other plants as well that grow so well, like collard greens. All of these things grow well in the winter time. And broccoli, is something that can grow when it's cold and it overwinters pretty well. And you know, it's just tasty. It's tasty. It gets better as it gets colder. Those green leafy vegetables. And you can also grow some lettuce. You can get that to extend into the season. Beets, carrots.
Oh, I love beets.
What about in the CSA, Christa? What if I don't want no beets? Can I request what I don't want?
Give them away.
No,
you're gonna get what you get.
I encourage you to try new things in your
Like
season.
beers, Lou. Like
You're gonna get a
beers.
mixture of things that you like and some things that you may you're not gonna get a bunch of stuff you don't like. That I'm gonna say right now.
But if you never like beets, being on like beets all of a sudden, because I tried beets every kind of way, it's still not good.
I don't know. People grew up didn't not liking Brussels sprouts, and now Brussels sprouts is on every menu, like everywhere.
Yeah, I got some right now I'm about to eat.
Exactly.
I heard what you're saying, but being
changes.
I've had beets as an adult. I've had them roasted. Puree.
I love it.
Only thing I like beet juice. Mixed
Have you
with
had
other
them
juices.
pickled though?
Okay.
Have you had pickled beets? They're good.
They are good because they have some sweetness and a little like
So
little twang.
I'm talking to a lady who thinks beets are really nature's candy.
Sugar beets. Sugar
That's what they
beets.
used
They
to
are.
Yeah.
There is sugar beet. Like literally, the name sugar beets is because you can also get sugar. Like this dark red sugar comes from it. Like sweet things. You know,
beet juice, like it's good.
I love beet juice when it's mixed with like mangoes and pineapples and strawberries.
Everything's sweet.
I'm gonna encourage you. I'm gonna just tell you, we provide recipes each
Okay.
Nice.
I like that. I like that. You got me. I'm back on the I'm back on my beats with my CSS.
So you're like a mini Hello Fresh.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's
take that.
Yo, what? Here's something funny about beets.
That concept from.
There's something funny about beets. One day my wife came in and she was like, "Yeah, we just came from dinner and such ordered a beet salad." I said, "Man, you should have beat her in."
What is that beet salad? I feel like beets don't go good with anything.
No, they do. Hey, over a salad, like you could eat that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who?
Mm-hmm.
You?
You know.
Yeah, I could eat that.
You as in the
No, like I could eat that. No, like I could eat that.
Yeah.
I could eat that. There's a have you ever been to in Center City, being as though you were there? I don't know. I'm certain it was open when you were there, but the place, there's the restaurant called Farmer's Keep. Have you been there? It's off of like 20th and Market.
Yeah,
I think I'm saying it right. But basically, the setup. So their setup and their lineup, guys, is like just like you would go to like a Qdoba or a Chipotle, right?
Right.
So, but there you start with the greens
Salads.
of the
Like
salad.
salad
Like if
works.
you want the kale or you want the or your spring mix or your arugula or whatever as kind of your base, right?
Yeah.
And then you go down the line and then you pick two other, like maybe either a cold side of a vegetable or either a warm side. So it could be like maybe you want like steamed whatever, like green beans or a slaw or whatever. And then your last thing is a protein. So you're gonna get like a brisket or you're gonna get like a chicken or whatever with it. It is one of the best platters. Just like for a lunch, you even leave there not feeling like, you know how you at lunch and you like, I don't want all this, like, because I know I'm gonna get back to the job. I'm gonna feel like I got that food coma's gonna hit me.
Yeah.
Like you don't even feel that after you eat the food. So just sidebar.
Yes, and to your sidebar, did you ever think about why that doesn't exist in neighborhoods of color?
Yeah, because they don't want us to.
They don't want us. They want us to
be.
be sluggish. They want us to be all, you know what I mean,
Right.
Diabetes.
laid up, brown
High blood
beef,
pressure,
everything.
hypertension.
Yes, and so quick story. I in 2020 I did a walk through my neighborhood in Germantown I went to 5 different corner stores. And I wanted to find out if anybody would be willing to carry fresh vegetables. Didn't even necessarily need to be mine. I just wanted to know what was the vibes. And every single one of those owners or people that could speak English in those stores that were willing to talk to me, everybody said no.
Because it's gonna go bad.
But they told me why, and it makes perfect sense. Because as a businesswoman, if I can't sell it,
Right.
then it's not a good product.
And we're conditioned to not eat the fresh lemon or the fresh apple.
Exactly.
I was watching an Instagram thing and this girl was like, y'all been selling me grapes and strawberries in the hood, and I've been eating oranges and apples my whole life. And now y'all out here with this papaya. I ain't never had no papaya.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Papaya in the
Papaya.
hood. I'm like, this
Kaiwai.
can't spell. This can't spell for her life.
In
It's
Kaiwai.
papaya.
Crazy.
But then there ain't no papayas in the hood. I ain't seen a papaya at a Giant or Acme ever.
Right.
You gotta go
And
to
so
the
that's
farmer's market to get those fruits.
That's the thing. And so like even that, I mean, papaya is not, it's a tropical fruit.
Right.
We don't grow it here.
Mhm.
So focusing people on knowing what does grow here, it's just the education. It's like eat the food that is growing here, because it's the food that's grown closest to you is the food that's better for
That's
you.
best, yeah.
And you know, what I realized is that since they weren't going to do it, then I needed to redefine the corner store. And so like that's literally what my next project is, that I've been simultaneously working on with all the other things. And on January 31st, I got a grant from the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture for $50,000
Nice.
to be able to erect the very first, thank you, the very first redefine the corner store. So I don't know what it's gonna be called yet, so I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, but
FarmerJawn.
it's in the
FarmerJawn.
Yo, somebody else that's actually on the list. It's so funny you say that. It's on the list. We have a list of names, and that's one of them. But yeah, there's so many opportunities for us to be able to make food affordable. And that Farmers Keep, they don't take food stamps, and they should, because this is cold food. So there's no reason why that's not a place that can't accept food stamps. And so what I believe is that we put in a neighborhood like Germantown, many neighborhoods in the city are becoming gentrified. So as y'all keep mixing all those together, but also mixing, pretty much it's a level of segregation comes with it. But I'm trying to keep Black people in where they're from, if they want to have a place that's better than it has been. You know what I mean? Because that's what we deserve. And so while, yes, I grew up in Germantown and I grew up in the hood, I realized that as new people are coming in, it could potentially, it is an opportunity to be able to put a corner John in my community, where both people, regardless of socioeconomic status and color of your skin, can have a healthy place to partake of food. And the reason why the beet is my logo and that I designed is in FarmerJawn. If you look at the logo, it's a beet that's next to the name, and it's because I could not find beets in my neighborhood when I did that walk. I did that walk, and I wanted to, and I needed to, and it was like, I want beets, and I can't go in my own community to find it. I gotta drive to Chestnut Hill. I gotta drive up Germantown Avenue, which you can see in Germantown. If you look at Germantown Avenue, the whole thing, I know y'all know, from one end of it to the other, it's completely different.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've traveled it.
The types of food are complete. The types of people
Mm-hmm.
and the types of food change as you go from one end to
see how see the importance, Rob, of keeping beets around. You got to make sure they don't go extinct. So you need to.
But that's weird. Like I've had beets, but you can like just thinking like I've had beets because my parents like them, so I had them growing up. But like if your parents don't like beets and you live in the city, you may have never seen or ate a beet before.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I forget where I just was too. And
yeah, I mean I'm good too, Rob, but I'm just the fact
of dirt, beets equal the same thing to me.
What does?
A spoonful of dirt.
A spoonful of wet dirt, Rob.
Wet dirt. Little mud pie. Little mud pie.
Mud, right.
Little mud pie. I forget where me and my family was, if we were at another family member's house or if we were out to dinner, and just slices of radishes were foreign to my wife. She was like, "What is that?" I was like, "Oh, that's some good radishes." Like, you got to eat that. Like, it's got a little bit of I said, that's where the horseradish comes from, that we eat or whatever. You're not used to seeing the slice. You're used to seeing it, mixed up, and you make it from or horseradish. But no, the slices are like, they're nice on the palate. Like you would have like a fresh eaten, like a cucumber or like, or carrots or whatever, but you don't see them as often anymore, like incorporated into things that, that we eat. And I was tearing them things. I was like, old memories, because I hadn't had them in a while.
Radishes are dope, and horseradishes are amazing also. But they all are. I just love them, and I also didn't grow up with radishes either. So I can definitely. I vibe with her on that, like not knowing what it is, but I'm also super open to trying things.
Yeah,
like I just YOLO everything.
And she said that's what she said. She tasted it. She was like, "Oh, wow, this is good. Oh, I can eat this." Just as a
But I
snack,
can
like
see
put
where
it.
it could taste like dirt. I can see.
Yeah.
Because it is. I mean, it is.
Well, it comes from the
It is
ground.
come right out of
Come
there.
right from that mud. Come
Yeah.
right out the mud.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But the farm to table dinners that we have, you got Lou. You got to come to a farm to table.
Listen,
dinner
invite me.
I'm ready. I'm coming.
You
I'm like
wanna
as soon
be
as
on the
you
menu.
have
She
one.
said, Lou.
Listen.
Nobody else.
Right.
Lou.
It's
Forget her.
No, I think Lou is giving off the vibe of that he's like super intrigued. So I think that's why she might.
I'm just joking. I'm just
But yeah, I mean,
It
you
was
cook it up
about
the
the
right
beat.
way. I'll
Oh,
try
about the beats.
anything, Krista. I will try it.
Now
I'll
I
try
want
it.
all of y'all to come,
Yeah,
but I was
yeah.
just making sure Lou knew
Look,
that
I
the
got my
beat
personal invite. I don't know what y'all got.
is going to be on the menu.
Beats will be on the menu,
Let
Lou.
me know
Yes.
if you putting all this
Bring your
brown
bib,
sugar
your
on it. You
apron.
gonna put all this beet sugar
Why
on
it
it?
gotta be brown sugar?
Because she
I
said
had-
something about beet sugars and brown sugars and
Ooh,
make it taste right.
that's probably good.
Look, we have a Negro palate because of the diabetes and the racism of America, and I am the
Yes.
one with the Negro palate.
Yeah,
Make it
Okay.
because he loves some sours and Kool-Aid.
Yeah, make it sweet for me.
But I've had glazed beets and they still taste like
delicious.
trash and like
No, it's
like
delicious.
mud honey.
It's like,
it tastes like
it's like
honey,
somebody
honey out
funky
the
that
mud.
sprayed cologne on it. Oh, you still smell funky.
You did just run a whole track meet into basketball games, but you
I
put
feel
that
like
perfume on, bro.
Krista
can't
will
cover that up.
introduce a new or maybe an or more organic, as she put it, maybe way. Maybe it's
I'm coming.
sometimes it's
I'm
in
going.
the
Yeah.
way that that it is served certain
I would like to
foods.
go.
Exactly.
so-
The
And
way
my,
that
my
it's
taste buds
grown.
may have changed.
Mhm.
Maybe you can get me. I'll let you know if it's good.
It's probably
I'll
been
let
a
you know if
minute,
it's
Lou.
bad.
When the last time you tried the beet? Because I know you
Nigga.
said
What the beets that you
Nigga.
had like was grown in with pesticides and all
and all
types
that
of shit.
other urban.
They were.
These
Yeah,
beats,
I'm sure they
these
were.
beats sound like
They were.
Dr. Dre made them.
Shut up.
I have a question for
mean,
you though, Krista. So
yeah.
so the table, the corner table, the corner John that we got set up.
It's working on.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's working on.
How, like you said, with the neighborhoods in Philadelphia becoming gentrified, it's easier for like these white folks to come in here and they want whole foods and they want farm fresh vegetables, but it seems like the goal is to get more black and brown people that are into the neighborhood already that have never left to get
Yep.
there. How would you get them? Because like the people in the bodegas and the corner stores say they don't buy the food because people ain't going to buy it. So how would you get them since you got the grant, once you start putting the places up, how will you get black people and brown people to come in there and walk out with the vegetables and the fruits?
Because representation matters.
You right about that.
And that's it. That's really it.
That's it,
Like
yeah.
So-
I've had so many people have been eating healthier that have come to me. I literally just had one of my CSA members tell me that her skin has cleared up since she started.
Wow.
Because she
Yep.
cooks with the vegetables. She's intentional about looking at the recipes, taking the food, and going to prepare her meals for the week.
Absolutely.
And she was like, "My skin is so much better
Mhm.
since I started this."
So I was going to
So
say
all
that
of
I know you're getting these connections with so many different CSA members. Tell us a little bit about some of the other stories. Like you shared that feedback of like skin. Anyone that kind of heard about, like you said, using different vegetables and things like that for healing. That's part of our our history, our ancestral background. So
Heritage.
tell us, about.
And that's
maybe some
also the
things that
true
you-
answer, by the way. Like just being a black woman in the industry,
It's true. Yeah.
another black person to see you like, yeah, I'll eat vegetables now. She
Mhm.
does.
Right.
Education
Yeah.
and access.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
not like we don't
Education
want
and
to eat it.
access.
It's like
We don't even
we
know.
got it.
Right.
We don't even
Uh-huh.
know.
Right.
I won't know what to do with it when we have it. Like you said, you got
Mhm.
recipes for beets. I wouldn't know what to do with a beet until I looked up a recipe.
I would bury
Unless-
the beat again. That's what I would do with the beat. Bury that shit. Like maybe it needs some more ripening.
There's been, to your point, there has been, so many people have said different things, and just by presence, just me having ideas and wanting and understanding that black and brown people have always got the short end of the stick and deserve so much more and deserve better. I just get so many people who are so happy that I'm now offering a bunch of things, the food, the education, making sure that people understand where everything that they consume comes from. I did an event called Seed and Sip. That's one of our signature events, and it's all about.
I go on Wednesdays.
Wait, seed and sip.
Oh, seed and sips. Oh, sips. Oh, you the CC. This had me thinking about Center City District.
I know what you're
sips.
talking about.
I'm like, wait a minute. I go
No,
on
you
these
don't go to
days.
this one, sir. You don't go to this one.
She said,
I'm thinking about alcohol.
She said, oh, no. I know you won't be here.
I ain't never saw you there.
In the future. Okay.
Oh, that's funny.
But Seed and Sip is
Seed
the
and Sip.
event that I started. And it's all about making sure that people see the correlation between everything we absolutely need.
Mhm.
You're already interacting with agriculture and you don't even know it. For
How
every-
do I get invited since I haven't been?
Well, let me just tell you what the premise of the event is first, and then we can talk
Yes.
about that.
See if I want to come.
Right, because you
But,
might have been
you know,
like in the movies that you be the hunted.
Everything you eat, obviously, it comes from, well, it should. It comes from the earth first. Before anybody does anything crazy to it and messes it up, it is an amazing plant. And then as is the beer that you're drinking, the whiskey that you love, like all of that started out as a plant first. And then even the clothes that you're wearing all started out as a plant, as well as the houses that you live in started out as a plant.
Yep.
So this is like what I'm trying to get people to understand is that you have to pay respect to agriculture and more than you are, because you're not giving any nods to the origins of things. And so I did one with a friend of mine is Fawn Weaver, the founder and CEO of Uncle Nearest Whiskey, and her company sponsored an event. So we did a seed and sip with Uncle Nearest, and it was absolutely amazing. I had people doing an electric slide child. Oh my God, all types of people. While they came to learn about farming and whiskey, and they put their hands in soil. Everybody left with a plant that they planted themselves.
Nice.
And that's what it was all about for me. It's like just providing experiences around agriculture, and we'll be doing one of those coming in this fall. So I'll make sure you're aware of how
I want to come. Like I want to come. Let me
too.
know. I got a busy calendar, but I want to come.
That was a light flex, but I appreciate it. That was like my
Hey,
friend.
Yo, we should.
We see and sip with Uncle Nearest. No big deal.
Right. We hopefully we all reach that level. We've got that person.
I said I enjoyed it.
I'm currently 2 degrees from Uncle Nearest.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. 2 degrees.
Now I know Fern.
Right. Don't we?
Yep.
6 degrees of separation.
And we only one. We're
6
only
degrees of
one.
Christa. We go, oh, we got what? Yeah, we know. That's what we do here. We are
Remember
here
the
to build
sip?
relationships.
Remember the seed and sip? Oh, you almost there? Nope.
FarmerJawn, though. I feel like that's the password. FarmerJawn. You just scream her name out. They're like, cool, come on in.
That's stupid.
Yeah, that was definitely that.
So how large is your team now? Where did it start?
Yeah.
How large is your team now? And are you, to your point, like you're saying you're hiring, seasonally or based on, the memberships that are prepaid for months in advance? How do you scale your employee volume?
Yeah, so my goal has always been to keep my team on because we have the tea company that's helpful. Tea is the most popular in the winter, so I don't necessarily have to lay off anybody. So I had in 2020 I had 14 people that worked at the farm, and that was a lot, and that was also a learning experience, right? Like hiring my own team who I pay is different than managing a team for other people
and doing like the budget, like because you're like, okay, we're giving X number of dollars to be like, okay, here's the salary increases, all that, but
exactly, like these are the hours. And to my accountant's dismay in the beginning, I was like, anybody that's coming on my team has to make minimum $15 an hour, which is over double minimum wage in Pennsylvania. And that's where my heart was, and that's where it still is. And so I'm like, even through all the struggles and the tightness, the moments with COVID, and I'm like, we have to pay $15 an hour. Like we can't. And I remember, and it was tough. I remember like literally during this journey of going in my own bank account, my own savings, and like dishing out cash because I'm like, I gotta make sure that y'all get paid. Like, you know, sales are not doing everything that they should, that I would love them to do. We are in COVID. People are hesitant to do certain things. So it's like, I gotta make it work. And so that's a skill that you just get better at. Like, Wallow said something recently. I'm sure y'all know who Wallow is. Yeah. And he just said something recently, and he was like, everybody out here calling themselves a boss, but like, you're not really a boss until you pay for people's lives.
Right.
And I was like, yo, that blew me. I was like, damn.
You got that on your conscience every night you lay down. Can you keep the doors open? Can you keep like like,
and it's real. It's real.
My cousin my cousin owns a restaurant, and you know, he was telling me just like, you know, I have to do this, the things he has to do to like make sure that he makes payroll. You know, he's running this, you know, his restaurant, and then he's running a barber shop. It's totally two different models in terms of how he, you know, one receives his income, but like you're saying, being responsible for, you know, these other people's lives. And, you know, sometimes I just listen to him when he riding home and after he closed the restaurant, and I'm just listening to him like, yeah, bro.
Well, isn't that I almost feel like
restaurant there.
Sorry,
Yoda.
I haven't been, but it's like soul food place. It's up in PA, where he has his restaurant. I'll get you info offline.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Well, he can get his vegetables from.
That's actually what I'm gonna work on next, because I already just got in the information.
You need to know
the hoagies, and restaurants, So
I think
and us, and me.
I was going to say I like to eat. I just like to eat.
Kevin Hart kind of touched on the same kind of thing as well. He was talking about like now. Before he was like he was just trying to get the money, but now he's more about how many people how many people that I put to work, how many people that I feed, how many on what I'm doing, how much. So I understand that you ain't really been a boss until you actually are.
Yeah, yeah.
And the perspective is different now. Yeah.
And they say like the true entrepreneurship is you to the point where you don't have to actually work yourself because you got
because I love it so much.
Not well, if you want to work, then you can because you love it. But true entrepreneurship is when you get to the point where you don't have to do it if you didn't want to. You can trust the people that you have under you to do the work for you. You don't have to be there 24 hours a day.
Oh, well, that's definitely a fact. Yeah, I mean, that's the only way that I can continue to be a visionary and act on those visions, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I can't. So, the question that was asked is, how big is my team now? I have 6 people that currently work at the Greenery on Germantown Avenue, and they're all part-time. So everybody like rotates through. I do have, except one person who's the manager that oversees all the things there. So honestly, I am rarely at the Greenery unless I'm needed or for team meetings and like team retreats that we do. But like, I'm rarely at the Greenery. I spend a lot of my time at the farm, and even that, I can trust my team to get the things done. So I have 2 people that work for me consistently at the farm, and there's a heavy volunteer program that exists there that one helps me offset some cost of labor, but also serves as an educational process for folks. And so that's amazing. And then I have a COO that is my right hand, legit, for the foundation. And he also has ownership in my for-profit brand as well. So, and that's what I want to do. I want to, as I build this for-profit company and I have this nonprofit and I have all these assets that I'm building, I want to give other people ownership of what I built to show my appreciation. And for 2, it's like, this is also, it provides more investment on their part to see it succeed, because my for-profit doesn't pay him. But he's more invested in seeing the whole picture come together because the nonprofit pays him, and it's a sister to the for-profit. So yeah.
So where was I going? I was going to ask you, just like as you're saying, you're year round. You're like, to get your highest yields. Do you start in the winter and then go through spring and to then be able to put everything out more like early summer or late spring? Like, what's your seasonality?
So crops are already like December we're starting to put trees in the ground, because that's a good time. Like, if our winters are very mild right now, and I remember last year when I did one of my clients farms, I literally was putting trees in the ground, fruit trees in his ground in December because it was like 50 degrees.
Oh yeah.
Because global warming is real, and we need to do everything we can to save us. And so that's what I mean by like the apocalypse. I'm really talking about global warming. But you know, all the things that we can do to make sure that stays subsided. But I am growing food, like seeds are starting to go in soil in the greenhouse by February. Yeah, early February and sometimes even late January, so that we can put, you know, so that we can take everything that's grown in the heated greenhouse out to the field as soon as it's warm enough.
Okay, so you do seedlings in the greenhouse, and then does anything ever grow from seedling to
from
harvest, from seed to harvest in the greenhouse?
Field? Oh, no, I don't do that. Everything ends up going outside. Yeah, like I have in the past. I've grown tomatoes in the greenhouse from seed to harvest. But primarily, we do a lot of if I had more greenhouses, I would do more. But because I'm working with one 3,000 square foot greenhouse, you know, I really need to use that to be able to prepare for, to always keep prepping.
Is there a difference in the taste of anything? Is there a difference in the taste of anything from being grown in the greenhouse versus outside the greenhouse?
Okay.
Definitely.
Wow.
What is happening here?
She changed locations.
I think she turned on the light.
Tomatoes. People say they don't like tomatoes. I actually have my moments of not liking tomatoes, but a tomato that's grown organically and on a farm is like the best. There's nothing like it.
Yeah. Probably nice and sweet.
Right.
It is.
Is it less? Is it like it's less acidity maybe, or is it still? What do you?
I would say it's a lot sweeter, and there's so many different varieties of tomato, which is what I'm also wanting to teach our people is that, you know, we go to the store and we like, oh, we bought an onion, but like there's so many different varieties of onions. You know, we got Sicily onions, we have purplet onions, like Vidalia, yes, like the list goes on, and the same thing goes for every other thing, kale, lettuce. So I typically don't grow the super common, and I always like to let people know what the name of the variety is. Like that kale, oh, that's Tuscan kale, or that's Red Russian kale, or you know, like things.
It's not
like
just
that.
Kale to you.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
When I was in Italy, when I was tasting the tomato, I think that was the first time I really said, "Oh, this really is a fruit." Like, that was the first time I really thought that this was a fruit.
Oh, it was like sweet. It was sweeter.
I was like,
nice.
This is a fruit.
Juices running down your chin.
Hey, I just take the end off the end of it and bite it like an apple.
Right.
But I guess I need to put on my my host because it went from light to dark. So that means we have been here for a while. So I don't want to keep.
Yeah.
I need to eat.
You do farmer hours. I know you've been.
That's what that was. That actually, I want to get in one more question, and that's what it has to do with. Like you said, it was kind of late in your day to be doing the podcast. What does your days? When does it start? Like, and you said it's over by noon for the actual outside part.
When it's this hot, so when you're in the dead of summer like this. Yeah. You know, the sun is at the top of the sky by 2 p.m. That's when it's at the top of the top of the sky. And high noon is a real thing. It talks about where the sun is. So like noon, the sun is getting higher starting around noon, and then 2, and then it starts to descend gradually as the time, you know, the day goes on. So I like to get myself and my team out of the field by noon. That's the goal. And it might be 2, but that's at the very latest because I can't have anybody. I literally
exhausted.
Yeah. One of my farm hands, and this was a cloudy day. We were just out at one of our clients' houses on Saturday, which was pretty cloudy in the morning. And we got there around 8:00, and by 10:30 we were leaving because she passed out. And
it was too much.
It was too much, and there was no sun. We didn't eat.
That's true, but that heat is different now. When you outside,
like you got prep.
I got outside the car on like Friday night, and it was no sun out, and you know that humidity hit you. You be like, oh,
yeah, like
I gotta take a minute.
It's rough. So my typical days are 5 a.m. is when I like to wake up. Sometimes my body might wake up naturally a little earlier. But and that's only if I go to bed on time. Like I like to be in the bed by 6 and sleep by 9. Like that's my preference.
Oh, we messed you all up today.
Yeah.
That's my
Apologies.
In the bed.
No, she picked 6 though. She picked 6. We didn't mess with her.
I will tell you though, Sundays are my weekend because I'm off on Mondays.
Oh,
as
good.
your folks.
Oh, okay.
But
She
that's
partying late.
my lightest day of the week.
Good.
And so I try my best not to take any meetings. So that's the only day. And you got to take your days because nobody's going to take them for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And everybody be like, oh yeah, how about Monday? And I'd be like, no, absolutely not. Like I will not. And you just have to do that because I'm sure people will always try to spend your time.
All right. I know we said we got to be conscious of time. We've been on for an hour and 58 minutes, right?
Okay.
No, but I just want to tie this into beer because we did have some beer and actual I guess private brewers or own brewers kind of thing on the podcast earlier. Like, do you or have you been on a farm? Do you actually work with anyone that is like asking for like malts, hops, things like that are beer related?
So I will tell you, I have not. People have asked, can I grow hops? But the amount of hops that one would need in order to brew enough beer is huge. Not something that I'm willing to allocate.
You're not at that scale yet. Got it.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
And it's not even that I'm not at the scale yet because I just was looking at 100 acres the other day. So that's not really it. It's more so that.
That's right. Flex.
It's more so I have a choice of what I want to grow and and if I'm going to give space towards something, my main focus is always going to be towards the science of the body and nutrition, physical health of people. Physical health of people means I need to be growing their food. That's what the need, the absolute need is.
Got it. So a lot more organic beers and breweries coming up though.
There are. So on a standpoint of what's financially agreeable, like I don't grow cash crops. Like that's just not something I do. Like you're not ever going to see on my farm a whole field of one thing.
Gotcha.
Monocropping is what that's called, which is why the soil has gone.
I was about to say, it drains the nutrients.
Okay. All right. Good. That's
why I have you back. I want you back after we do the sip and see. You can come on back.
Seed and sip. Seed. SEED.
I've been thinking the thing you pulled back when you was a kid and it spun around and it doesn't matter. Speak and say. That's what I was thinking.
I'm with you, Lil.
Whenever we go to that, I want Christa back on because we've been on for 2 hours.
I got a ton of questions.
I got like 6 more questions.
I don't know what y'all talking about. I'm about to tell her come over to my house, my backyard, need help.
Well, listen, we can interview her there.
Right.
Yeah, I do. I will do a consult. No problem. I'll do.
All right. Well, before we wrap up, we always like to. one. Is there anything that people should know, or anything you want people to leave on a good note in terms of what they should know about Christa, FarmerJawn, Viva Leaf Tea, like all that, like how in terms of what you want people to know or leave on before we wrap up?
Yeah, thank you for that space. FarmerJawn is all about reintroducing farming into the lifestyles of urban people. Like that's what my whole thing now is about. And I do it for 3 main reasons that all evolve around health. And it's physical health of people, environmental health, and also social health. Systemic racism touches all 3 of those. Amen. And I want to, as a Black person, a Black woman, representation does matter. And so I literally am impacting all 3 of those areas and spaces by just doing the work that I'm passionate about and that I enjoy doing. So I feel, like I said, I feel very privileged. I feel very honored to be able to do this work. And so I want to invite more people into helping continue this work by going to my website and donating, even if it's $5. Like, you don't know how big of a deal that is to us to be able to have somebody that aligns with us so much so that they gave their hard-earned dollar to our cause. So that is one huge thing. And if you know anybody that's interested in growing and wants to become more proficient as a farmer or a grower, we have multiple ways to do that, whether you want to be a part of my cohort where I train you to be an agripreneur yourself and start your own business, or you can simply come to the Greenery in Germantown, Mount Airy section of the city, and have a beer and learn how, put your hands in some soil and ask questions. And then also from anywhere in the world, you can support my tea company as well. Awesome. Knowing that those herbs are organic and grown by a Black farmer and my team, you can, something that's amazing and dope and that is loved on. And you can feel the love as well. Those herbs are super healthy, and I want to be able to transfer that to other people.
How many different flavors of tea do you have?
Right now we have 13. Yeah,
Nice.
and growing. And honeys that we also have. And next year I'll be a beekeeper.
Let it go.
All good stuff. You got the website, Lou. You got a website. You got to go on there.
I'm about to just DM her. Be friends now. Like, I got her personal information.
Right. Trust it. Like the guy over in Martinique. If she, Sebastian, you know what I mean? You Sebastian, aka Lou Belgium.
Right. I definitely will call my son. He will run you all around, do what you need him to do.
Take you want to go to school with me?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank Christa
thank
Barfield,
you.
aka FarmerJawn, to come on the
Been a
podcast.
pleasure. True pleasure. True pleasure.
Thank you so much. It's been awesome.
Shout out to KJ for even suggesting me. Yeah.
Yeah.
KJ.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he mentioned you, I said I definitely needed to hit you up. I think Lou did the same thing as well. So he had a like mind. But like I know you mentioned like how can they actually go to is there websites in terms of Viva Leaf and FarmerJawn? Is there what are those websites?
Yeah, so Viva Leaf Tea is VIVA leaftea.com and FarmerJawn Philly, FarmerJawn Philly.com, and everything there is to know about how to tap in with us and all the ways is right on those websites.
Right, as well as those social media networks. Well, yeah, okay. Instagram, okay.
Yeah, Instagram, FarmerJawn Philly. Definitely follow us on there. That's where I'm the most active. I'm about to stick my toe in TikTok. So I'm gonna let you know how to go.
We've been trying to
found you on LinkedIn too
forever.
For weeks.
All right,
I'm there.
Here come that James Beard finalist out here. She about to get some of that James Beard.
Oh no, you already know. See, we here. And you already know I'm coming for it. You already know I'm coming.
All right, I see it. All right. All right. Yeah, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at IM302YODA.
Lou?
That's it.
My name is Lou Belgium. I'm on them Instagrams.
All right. Dev?
You can find me on Instagram, Dev Drinks Craft Brew, or if you need to reach me via email, you can reach me at devdrinkscraftbrew@bruisingbanner.com.
Word.
I swear that makes me happy every time.
Shoot. I pay for yearly. I need traffic. We need traffic.
Hey, you can find Bruising Banter Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Bruising Banter Podcast. You can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts, even Pandora and iHeartRadio. You can even say, Alexa, play Bruising Banter Podcast because we are on Amazon Music as well. Want to follow me, Rob G, Rob Say Bruising. Ping, 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 ping. You can also go www.bruisingbanter.com and get the merch if you want to support the pack. I don't have merch on today.
Show Yoda does.
There it is. If you want to support and get the merch as well, there will be some new merch coming soon. So that'll be on the website as well.
Baby.
And once again, I want to thank FarmerJawn for coming on the podcast.
Yeah. Been a pleasure. Tell them, Rob, Till.
Until next time.
Have a good week, everyone.
Peace.
Bye.
Come on, where that outro?
Doc B. Say.
This was Doc B last week.